Oh my god. Beach, here we go. Yeah. Let's use that.
Okay, I think that's good.
Okay, great.
And we're just ready to go?
That's okay.
Good evening, everyone. We're going to get this party started. I see lots of, well, not lots, I see some. I wish I saw this whole room filled, but I do see some new faces, so I just want to introduce myself. My name is Katie Hecklinger. I'm the very proud CEO of BlackRock Center for the Arts. Woo! Can I get a shout out? If you're new to the space, BlackRock is Germantown and Upper Montgomery County's cultural, creative, and civic anchor to the largest unincorporated, most diverse city in the country. And so we take that civic hat pretty seriously and are proud about that. And tonight we have our civic hat on. So it brings me great pleasure to hear voices and to have the candidates really reflect who they are. It's a big election year. Local politics is super important right now. So if you want to come back for the arts, I want to extend an invitation. Tonight we're here for a candidate forum, but you can come back Thursday for jazz. You can come back Thursday for Real Talk, which is a new movie series. The first, Train Dreams is the first movie in the queue. We'll have a talk and the movie showing. And then if you're looking for community engagement, if that's your vibe, we're hosting Montgomery County's Green Fest on October 25th. On that day, Harriet Tubman, that sculpture for the Freedom Walk 2026, led by Anthony Cohen, will be on display here on BlackRock's Great Lawn. So whether you're here for civic engagement, community engagement, or the arts, we do it all. And so with that, I'm going to introduce Steve Barber. He's got his board chair hat on tonight, but he's also a very engaged member of BlackRock Center for the Arts as our vice chair. Welcome, Steve Barber.
Thank you, Katie. I can't use this mic or Paula would be really upset with me, so you need to adjust it. So, good evening, everybody. My name is Steve Barber, and I'm board chair for the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the first of our two 2026 primary candidate forums. We'd like to thank BlackRock Center for the Arts and our CEO, Katie Hecklinger, for partnering with us to host this event in the heart of Germantown. Now, the Chamber is committed to ensuring our up-county members are heard in the legislative process. Decisions on land use, taxes, and zoning impact all of us. You can find our 2026 legislative agenda at the info table by the doors. Now, up-county needs are unique, and they are often left behind by our county decision makers. And to ensure our voices are represented, we must stay engaged and vote. If you have a question for the candidates, please write it on the index card provided to you, including your name and residence, and raise it for a board member to collect. Neil will be walking around. We will also collect the cards after the first round of questions. So please note that anonymous questions will not be read. Now, please allow me to introduce our incredible Chamber President and CEO, Paula Ross, who will serve as the moderator for the first group of questions.
Thank you, Steve. Our Chamber of Commerce serves Gaithersburg, Germantown, Clarksburg, and Damascus. This forum was planned by our Economic Development and Legislative Affairs Committee, EDLA. In addition to our board chair, I'd like to thank our vice chairs of economic development for their time and energy in planning this forum. Sharon Anthony from Montgomery College and Dave Buonora from the universities at Shady Grove. Steve, Sharon, and Dave will be our timekeepers for the evening as well. For this forum, we have invited candidates who seek to represent the council districts in our chamber's full service footprint. I'd like to welcome the candidates to the stage. The candidate for District 2, serving Germantown and Clarksburg, Marilyn Balcom. The candidates for District 3, serving Gaithersburg, Judd Ashman, Allison Erickson, Izola Shaw, and Ricky Moy. And the candidates for District 7, serving Damascus, Dawn Ludke, Harold Maldonado, Van Cree, and Sharif Hidayat. Those of you in the back who'd like to come take a seat, you are more than welcome. Candidates, tonight's forum is being recorded and may be available on the Chamber's YouTube page or other social media pages. The timekeepers in the front row will give you notice when you have 10 seconds left to respond. See that big sign there, guys? 10 seconds. And you will be cut off at the time limit by a very loud noisemaker. We have a cowbell tonight. A cowbell, yes. Please do not go over time. There are many of you on the stage, and we want to give every candidate a fair opportunity to respond to questions. Each of the candidates will now have 60 seconds to introduce themselves to our audience today. We will start with the candidate from District 2, Marilyn Balcom. Yes, I'm sorry, yes.
Turn it on. Turn it on.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marilyn Balcom. I am the Council Vice President and the Council Member for District 2, which is Germantown, Clarksburg, Boyds, Poolesville, North Potomac, and Darnestown. And I have been in this position this is my first term, so 4 years. This is my fourth budget. Prior to being a council member, I started my career as an accountant. I'm also an organizational psychologist. I work with the Department of Energy. And then I had the great pleasure to be the first executive director of BlackRock Center for the Arts. So I picked the seats you're sitting in, I picked the paint for the walls, I gave approval for the floors, so very proud. And then I went on to the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber of Commerce, and I am so proud to see the organization just flourish under Paula Ross's guidance. And I am running unopposed, and so I really hope that if you're in my district, that you vote for me. But more important, I hope that everyone here votes.
I'm going to ask everybody to hold their applause until the end of. Thank you very much for that, Mr.
I've
Mayor.
already broken the rules.
Yes, I didn't say the rules, so you're okay. But please hold your applause until the end of all of the responses. Thank you.
All right, I'm Judd Ashman. Many of you know me from the hundreds of ribbon cuttings, meetings, and events. Notably, the one last year in which I sat in the dunk tank to raise money for the Police Foundation and was repeatedly soaked thanks to Paula's ace pitcher son. So many of you know me. But as a small business owner for over 30 years, I also know you. I understand the importance of the products and services that you provide, the investments that you make, the job opportunities that you create for this community. I also know that it's not always easy to do business in Montgomery County. High taxes and fees, sometimes regulations go a bit too far. It often seems that when it comes to business and growth, this county has a culture of no. I have got to have more than 10 seconds left. Well, I'm running for county council to change it to a culture of yes to good jobs, yes to new housing, yes to growing our tax base, so the county doesn't keep having to raise your taxes. That's what I've delivered in Gaithersburg, and that's what I want to deliver for you and the rest of this county. Thank you.
Good evening, my name's Allison Erickson, and I was fired from USAID last year. Since then, I've been advocating on Capitol Hill to protect federal workers' jobs and programs that Americans rely on. Local governments are already seeing how federal cuts impact our neighbors and communities. And that's why I'm running. I want to use what I've learned working around the world and make sure that Montgomery County is prepared for the future. Voters agree on what we need: affordable housing, good paying jobs, real access to healthcare, and safe communities. I've worked in rural communities, in disaster relief, and in war zones to help people get back on their feet after the lowest point of their lives. I know how to get things done, how to work together with stakeholders, and how to get people what they need to survive and to thrive. And that's why I'm running for county council. We can't afford the old politics anymore. Please vote on the primary on June 23rd.
Please come take a seat. Mr. Moy?
Good evening. My name is Rick Moy. A lot of people don't know how to say my last name, so I tell them the easy tricks. Muy bien, or Moy's your boy. I'm a Rockville resident. I'm seeking to represent Rockville and Gaithersburg, District 3. I'm a parent. For Robin Ficker, I'm a Naval Academy graduate. I've earned my MBA from Emory University, and I've spent 10 years in the military as a veteran now. So, why am I running? I'm seeking to be the voice of the citizens and residents of Montgomery County that are frustrated with how our county government leaders are treating us and our precious taxpayer dollars. We spend billions each year. We don't see a lot of results. So I'm running to speak on your behalf. Thank you.
Michelle.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. My name is Isola Shaw. The community calls me Zola. I am a proud Rockville City Council member. I also am a Montgomery County Housing Opportunities Commissioner, which means that I oversee a budget of around $400 million to build affordable housing across Montgomery County. I have a BA from Howard University, go Bison, and I have a master's degree in economics from Johns Hopkins University. I've served 20 years with the federal government at NIH and at FEMA, advising local governments how to prepare for disasters, and I was fired by Trump in May. I've served on multiple boards and commissions in Montgomery County for over a decade. And bottom line, I want this county government to work for the people. Thank you.
Ms. Lukey.
Thank you. I am Dawn Lukey. I am the current county council member for District 7, which includes Olney, Ashton, Sandy Spring, Brookville, Laytonsville, Damascus, Montgomery Village, Durwood, and the unincorporated portions of Gaithersburg and Rockville. I know we're on a time limit. I am a 1996 graduate of the University of Pennsylvania and a 2000 graduate of the University of Maryland School of Law. In my current work, I serve on the council's Health and Human Services and Public Safety committees, and I also still serve as a certified law enforcement trainer. My approach to my first term in office has been very pragmatic, focused on problem solving, focused on attention to detail across multiple sectors, and at all times being guided by the law. Outside of my regular council duties, I also serve on the Criminal Justice Coordinating Commission, the Human Trafficking Prevention Commission, the Board of Social Services, and the Air Park Citizens Advisory Committee. I hope I can count on your vote and your support to continue my work. Thank you.
Mr. Maldonado.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Harold Maldonado. I am the GOP candidate for District 7. I'm an economist with a BA degree from Catholic University and a master's degree in economic development from a university in Bolivia. I worked for the federal government for over 10 years doing economic analysis, informing the White House and the executive on U.S. Economic policy. What drove me to be a candidate, this is my second time running, is that things are not working out. Things are bad. Crime is high, the economy is tanking, and let me ask you this, how are your property taxes? How are your utility bills? Do you feel safe walking down Montgomery Village? Do you feel safe while going to a Giant in Damascus or in anywhere in Germantown? I don't. So aside from my background, I will focus my campaign on three aspects: affordability, security, and
Mr. Maldonado, that is time. Thank you. Okay, so our candidate from District 2, Marilyn Balcom, is running unopposed. Thus, she is elected to cede her our very limited time tonight to the other candidates, and will be available to speak with voters after the forum and at other times. Thank you for coming, Ms. Balcom. Y'all can spread out a little bit if you like. Audience, You were offered an index card when you arrived today to share questions for the candidates. A reminder that you must include your name and where you live on your card to properly attribute the question. Questions without identification will not be read. If you have a completed index card, please raise it in the air and one of our chamber board members will collect it, and we will collect cards after the first round of questions as well. All right, thank you for the introductions, candidates. This first section of questions was developed by the Chamber's Economic Development and Legislative Affairs Committee. You will have 60 seconds to respond, and if you are named in another candidate's response, you will be given a 30-second rebuttal after all of the 60-second responses are complete. If you are named by more than one fellow candidate, you will receive only one 30-second rebuttal. Please keep your responses clean and respectful. This section will take us to approximately 7:00 p.m. I will ask Steve Barber there in the front row to give me a sign if I'm going past 7 p.m. Thank you. All right, our first question. And we will go down the row this way from Mr. Ashman down to Mr. Maldonado, and the next question we will go back the other direction. There are two mics working their way down the tables. Question number 1 is about transportation. Our county budget is outpacing the growth, transportation and the economy. Our county budget is outpacing growth of our population and growth of our business economy. What concrete steps will you take to invite investment to Montgomery County for both small and large businesses to grow the economy, allowing us to maintain the level of services in our county budget? Where does the Up County specifically fit into your plans? And I will ask Mr. Ashman to start us off. Please hold your applause until the end of the section.
And this is in the context of transportation?
And economic growth, yes.
And economic growth, okay. All right, well, economic development is high on my list of things to do. In fact, my platform is really get our fiscal house in order to deal with the core pieces that government's supposed to deal with, which we'll get to, I'm sure. And then it's about growing housing, it's about growing economic development, it's about investing and attracting new businesses, and fostering entrepreneurs so they can start businesses. In terms of transportation, I think we act, depending on how it's configured, the Gaithersburg City Council and I were in favor of the expansion of I-270 as long as it fit certain criteria, stayed within its current footprint. And I think we missed an opportunity with the public-private partnership that was scuttled by the administration. But I'm in all modes. I'm in favor of all modes: transit, roads.
Thank you, Mr. Ashman.
BRT, all that.
Ms. Erickson.
That was a very multi-point question.
We have very limited time.
Okay, so as far as jobs, I think the first thing I would prioritize is streamlining permitting within the county. Make it easier for people to start businesses here. I've been talking to voters, and a number of small business owners have told me how many months and months they've waited to get a permit for something as simple as a barber shop. And that's just completely unreasonable. I really think we need to consider the priorities of small and medium-sized businesses, since they make up the majority of businesses in this area. And I believe that if the county is properly staffed for permitting, we can maintain health, environmental, and safety standards and provide permits in a reasonable amount of time. And my position is that the best way to attract jobs to this district and to the county as a whole is to continue making this a place where people want to live and work. I think Montgomery County is a great place to live and has a lot of advantages that workers and employers will see. Thank you.
Mr. Moy.
I love Montgomery County. I hope others can see the same potential that I see. We have a strong, academically gifted population of workers. Hopefully their kids will follow suit. So the goal here is to maximize the potential that we have, right? We have we had good education. Let's improve that education to make sure our kids are competitive for next workforce. When that happens, that pool of people is available, that naturally attracts employers. They don't have to go out of their way to find more people to move here to work for them. They have a natural population. Well, let's take a look at the buses. Bus transportation, 10 seconds here. We're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on the bus transportation system. I don't think it's very efficient. So we need to, oh, okay, well,
Thank you,
very
Mr.
much.
Moy. Ms. Shaw.
Thank you for that question. We are number 3 in biotech and life sciences. We need to be number 1, especially since we have a lot of former federal employees working in the sciences and research that want to start their own business and want family-sustaining jobs. So that's number 1 in terms of economic development. Also, in terms of transit, Up County does not have as many transit options as Down County, and we need to change that so that we can connect our workers to their jobs, to their families, to opportunities. So we want to make sure that we are expanding particularly our buses in Up County. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lukey?
Thank you. So multiple things and on multiple fronts. I'm going to talk about what I've already done because those are the things I want to keep doing, which is to say when someone like Buonora pulls out of your bus service in a very limited part of your county, which has very limited bus service, you get them to offer a flex service, right? We work with MCDOT to correct that because we don't want our people not having any coverage. We need to be flexible in the types of transit we're offering to meet the needs of all and to recognize that Up County's needs are vastly different than Down County with more highly walkable communities. With respect to economic development, it's critically important not to put all our eggs in one basket. I agree our permitting processes need to be adjusted, and I have been working on that thus far, both in our agritourism area. We've done it for biohealth and businesses that are creating new jobs to streamline the permitting process in order to get those businesses up and running. We also need attention and focus on retaining our businesses. And shout out to Damascus and placemaking. Much more to come on reactivating Damascus's Main Street.
Thank you. Mr. Maldonado?
Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is improve the investment environment of the county once I get into the office in November. We want to reduce the red tape, the regulations. My colleague on my right has had 4 years. She hasn't done anything. We want to freeze business taxes for 2 years and create an environment where we welcome small businesses. We want to focus the economic development of the county and on small businesses. We don't need to rely on biotech, and we need to diversify our economy. And also create incentives for businesses. There's a lot of ideas from the Economic Development Corporation and to bring small businesses, to open the small businesses as they create the most jobs, and of course they contribute with a lot of taxes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. For those of you in the back, there are plenty of seats here in the theater if you want to come and have a seat. Our next question, and we will work backwards from Mr. Maldonado to Mr. Ashman. In one sentence, what is the biggest mistake that the current council has made regarding the county's economic growth? Mr. Maldonado.
Not being accountable to the residents in the oversized budget.
Rent control.
Making sure we're having workers at the table.
Excessive, uncontrolled spending on things that don't have good returns.
Lack of transparency.
Rent control.
That was quick. Thank you. You really did keep it to one sentence. All right, number 3, and we will work the opposite direction from Mr. Ashman down to Mr. Maldonado. The Germantown Master Plan previously called for over 60,000 jobs in Germantown, which did not come to fruition because up-county infrastructure needs have been ignored for decades. How would you reverse this result to grow up-county job centers?
I have spent the last close to 30 years of my life in the Up County. There's some debate about whether Gaithersburg is in the Up County. I consider it the Up County.
We do too.
So thank you. It's the lens through which I look at all of our policy. How is it affecting this district, District 3, as well as District 2, because it's so close. So it's gonna come naturally to me. It's gonna be part of the way that I look at things, and just my default approach is, how is it affecting us? Because I agree, we haven't had the representation and until we had a redistricting, and I think it's a little bit better now, but we still need some strong leaders to represent the Up County.
I will be honest, I think that economic growth in this region is going to be really difficult. I think the federal cuts have impacted a huge amount of our workforce. I personally know a lot of people who are leaving the area because they can't find appropriate work equivalent to what they were doing previously. I would like to think that we can overcome that, but I don't know that I would promise that we're going to get that high a number of new jobs coming in with so many people leaving. I don't know if that's realistic in the current climate. I would certainly work with folks in the Up County to find where we can try to retain people who might consider leaving and draw new people in. Thank you.
Very simply, we optimize what we have currently. There's a short-term phase and long-term phase. Short-term, optimize education, work biotech, pharma, utilize University of Shady Grove and Montgomery College to provide courses to get people up to speed so we can be competitive. Long-term, reduce barriers to entry for new product, new manufacturing, new development. That's what we can bring here. Lastly, we over-regulate almost every of these sectors. It takes months to years to get into the space, and once you get in, it's non-stop regulation. Every little thing, everything costs money. If it costs money, people are gonna look elsewhere.
Invest in our transit system and our infrastructure. Make sure that we are having workforce training in Up County and making opportunities more available to people, and also streamlining our permitting process and cutting the red tape.
Thank you. A couple of things. One, back to the not all eggs in one basket concept. We need to make sure we are focusing attention on multiple sectors and not just our biohealth. I love biohealth. We've been doing a great job in that arena, but we also need to diversify, because anytime there's one shift in an impact, like we're seeing with our federal employees, it then ends up impacting the entire area's economy adversely. The other piece is making sure we have housing for our entry-level workers, because it's hard to say you want to work someplace when you can't live nearby and you have to commute for an hour to get there. Another piece is expanding our career tech education so that we are not all focusing on AP students, and we are also making sure we are developing our next level workforce and expanding our dual enrollment opportunities so that the courses are not just taught at Montgomery College, but Montgomery College instructors are coming to our high schools to allow for our high school students to graduate with their associate's degrees.
In terms of Up County, I see two areas that need attention: small businesses and of course the ag sector. My plan is to strengthen both and to make it so that the ag sector is not only producing locally, but becomes the regional output production center for agricultural products. And for small businesses, again, as I said before, it creates a lot of jobs. So we need job creation, because the county right now, many of the pundits will tell you, including my colleagues here, that the economy is stagnant. It's not stagnant. We are already in a recession. So that would be my plan, and also to create an independent transportation authority run by people of Up County. Thank you.
Thank you. And I understand that I missed a reference to a specific candidate in the previous responses. Ms. Luque was referred to as her or she, and I missed that. Would you like a 30-second rebuttal to the previous question about mistakes the county council has made?
Well, I think it was just that I was referred to as having not done anything, and look, my record speaks for itself. You can go on the council's website and you can look at every bill that I have sponsored and passed that meet the content areas that I gave my response on.
Thank you. All right, next question, and we will work backwards from Mr. Maldonado down to Mr. Ashman. This is about public safety. Businesses are increasingly concerned about juvenile crime trends in the Up County. What changes, if any, would you pursue in addressing crime, particularly among juveniles?
The first thing we need to do is get rid of the accountability board. That restricts the police work on a day-to-day basis, and also focus the attention and funding on policemen on the streets, not drones. We don't need any more drones to be going anywhere. We need actual police cars, actual police officers going into our communities, especially Montgomery Village, where we have a lot of issues with shootings and stabbings, and of course we're going to talk about that later, but that would be my suggestion. 2, fully fund the police department so we can have safer streets, and that translates into businesses being safe to come and open shop in the county. And of course, we will need to fund that the police department, and I plan to be a full audit of all Montgomery County financial records for the last 5 years. Thank you.
With respect to public safety and juvenile crime in particular, this has been an ongoing challenge, not just for Montgomery County, but across the state, because the Department of Juvenile Services is a state agency, and it is not handled the same way if you are under a certain age, and so that has become a very, very challenging thing. I can say that I wrote an editorial about this particular issue. I also, Councilmember Balcom and I are meeting with the Secretary of the Department of Juvenile Services next week in particular. And I have worked collaboratively with our police department and all 6 of our district commanders with respect to these issues to help navigate where the gaps are in the current landscape, and also engaging our members of the judiciary. With respect to where they believe they are not enabled with particular tools in order to help when juveniles are referred to particular services and then don't participate or partake in them.
First, we want to make sure that our local police get all the resources that they need. And also we want a comprehensive approach to public safety. So this means ensuring that we are addressing the basic needs and have an anti-poverty approach as well to make sure people have housing and food and jobs and good schools. Also ensuring that we have strong educational and school programs and recreation programs as well to make sure that our young people are building community and providing jobs for young people as well. And I would also say too, ensuring that our police are able to live in our county and build community and relationships with the community in which they are serving.
There's a reactive and there's a proactive way to deal with this situation. Proactive, I went to the Top Golf a few weeks ago, and I had a chance to speak with the front desk lady, and we discussed private-public partnerships. Let's give the kids something to do. Let's build that sense of community. They belong. They don't have to go out and do criminal activities to survive. Give them an option. For those that decide they don't want to take that option, we need to make sure that there's enough police officers to handle the crime, that they don't take an hour to get there, that the rest of the community is not victimized. And when we do make an arrest, make sure that there is respective punishment, and that is not just a slap on the wrist. So there's more repeated actions. Thank you.
First point that I would make is that I would definitely keep the Police Accountability Board. I don't think that removing that would be something that would help the situation at all. I think the main priority for this is prevention, and we need to provide more opportunities for young people in this community. Like, I'm not nearly that young, but even I can remember the difference between when I was growing up, and I look around now, and if you see more than 3 or 4 teenagers gathering somewhere, someone's likely to call the cops on them or say there's a teen takeover. And it just seems that we are afraid of our own youth to an unhealthy degree, and we don't give them safe places where they can gather and do normal teenage activities, maybe get into a little bit of harmless trouble. And I think that that overreaction is harmful to their development and has been harmful to our communities. So I would say we need to have more trust in our youth and provide them more opportunities.
The biggest problem that we have in Montgomery County with regard to public safety is that there's a close to 15% vacancy rate within Montgomery County Police Department. And it is a fully funded department, and they've even tried to enact like a $20,000 signing bonus for new recruits who go through the training. And they still have this vacancy rate. We don't have this in Gaithersburg, they don't have it in Rockville. And I think the difference is about the morale in the departments. In Gaithersburg and in Rockville, in our cities, we are supportive of our police officers. Of course, we hold them accountable if anything goes wrong, but I think there's that culture of support. With regard to youth, I agree with a lot of what's been said here. I would also bring back the school resource officers, the SROs, to our high schools. I testified publicly on that when the county was considering getting rid of them. It helps build bridges, it presents law enforcement as a potential career, and it improves safety.
Thank you, Mr. Ashman. You're going to start the next question, so hold on to that mic. Our next question is regarding education. We will work the other direction from Mr. Ashman down to Mr. Maldonado. Attracting and retaining the next generation workforce is a top chamber priority. The chamber supports investment in Montgomery College, the universities at Shady Grove, and MCPS. What is your vision for partnering with these institutions to strengthen the county's talent pipeline? What strategies will you pursue to keep young professionals in Montgomery County, especially in up-county communities?
All right, 1 minute.
1 minute.
So let me just give you a little bit of background. My on-ramp into public service was through PTA, serving as PTA president for my kids' schools and cluster coordinator. I am when we're talking about the K through 12, I'm a big proponent of trying to get everything funded in the city of Gaithersburg. We funded school adjacent programs, because we don't run the schools, but we do school adjacent programs. In fact, on Thursday, I'm hosting a principals and counselors breakfast to facilitate partnerships between nonprofits and our schools. I think there's a tremendous opportunity, I think as Mr. Moy pointed out before, to work with Montgomery College and universities at Shady Grove for workforce development programs. I think they've done that well elsewhere, and we've done it to good effect here in Montgomery County. I think we should build on that.
Thank you. Ms. Erickson.
Thank you. Yes, I would absolutely support Montgomery College and the universities at Shady Grove. I myself was a community college student when I was younger, and I think that was really a beneficial environment. In fact, a few weeks ago, I sat on a panel at Montgomery College talking to students in social sciences about careers and how to get their first job and get out there, and they're really motivated, very cool bunch. I think the main thing we can do to support keeping young professionals in our community is to address housing. Young people can't stay here because they can't afford to live here, and I think that's the main thing that we're going to see for this. That's the answer to how do we grow more jobs in the up county. That's the answer to a lot of these issues, is if people can't afford to live here, they will not be here and they will leave.
I'm going to take this answer back to my PTA experience. If kids don't know what to aim for, they can't get there. So what we do is we do career nights at our PTA. We bring in local professionals so they can see and interface with the kids. The kids can interface with the adults and see, that's what I want to be. I want to be a judge. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a scientist. That inspires them. That gives them a purpose for going to school. And then you build on that. MCPS needs to step up their game. I'm a Naval Academy recruiter for MCPS and private schools. Private schools are winning for appointments. Okay, we're lacking behind here. We're looking at the whole person, not just academics, but how they fit socially. work with MC and USG for these expanded next generation classes to get them ready for their careers? Thanks.
Ms. Shaw?
We want to continue building our relationships with Montgomery College, invest in our small business incubators to provide more opportunities for young entrepreneurs. Also, invest in internship programs with Montgomery County government, or continue to build on that. And also working with local trade unions. The carpenters, for example, have a great center in a neighboring county. And I think it would be a great idea to make sure that we have some of those opportunities here. You can have a great job and a very stable job and provide for your family.
Thank you, Ms. Lutke. Yep, back to my dual enrollment. The reason I suggested what I did, which is to say it would be better if we delivered those programs on site in the schools, is because other counties like Frederick County have a 22% dual enrollment participation. Ours hovers around 4% of our students because they can't get there all the time to get to those campuses. So we have to be more thoughtful about the logistics of how we're delivering these opportunities, because low cost higher ed pathways make a difference. The same thing with our trades. Now Montgomery College does offer programs to help so that you can finish your certifications and be ready to advance in HVAC, carpentry, etc. But we need to be able to do more of that and make sure that our students, not all our kids who want those pathways go to Edison or go to Seneca Valley High School. And so we need to make sure we expand their opportunities so they can enter those earlier and more students can avail themselves of it if that is what their pathway of choice is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado.
I believe our education system is in crisis. The first thing I'll do is to bring back SROs and agree with my colleagues here tonight. And also focus on bringing back power back to parents and teachers, because that relationship has been broken in a long time. And also the biggest obstacle to our education system in the county is the teachers union. So what we need to do is we need to create jobs for our youth. And we can't talk about Montgomery College and the programs and the beautiful programs that people are talking about tonight without having a good economy. Where are the students going to go to find jobs if we don't have a growing economy? Again, our economy is stagnant, our economy is in a recession, and the first thing I'll do is to create an investment environment where we can improve our economic growth and we can create jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. This next question also deals in education with regard to the county's budget. It's a long one, so I'll get to the end. I'm happy to repeat it if you need. Under Maryland's Maintenance of Effort, MOE law, the county is legally prohibited from ever spending less per student than it did the previous year. This creates a ratchet effect where every emergency increase or one-time bonus becomes the permanent mandatory floor for the future, even if performance metrics drop. Specifically, if MCPS proficiency rates in Title I schools continue to stagnate or decline, would you be willing to hold the budget at the absolute legal minimum, effectively a no-growth budget, until the Board of Education agrees to a third-party forensic audit of their central office management? If so, how will you defend that decision to the teachers union, MCEA, when they label it an attack on educators during your next budget cycle? If not, what strategy will you employ to ensure the return on the taxpayers' investment to MCPS, keeping in mind that the MCPS budget covers about half of our county budget? We will start with Mr. Maldonado and work our way down to Mr. Ashman.
Can you repeat the question?
I sure can. Ready? Under Maryland's Maintenance of Effort Law, MOE, the county is legally prohibited from ever spending less per student than it did the previous year. This creates a ratchet effect where every emergency increase or one-time bonus becomes the permanent mandatory floor for the future, even if performance metrics drop. Specifically, if MCPS proficiency rates in Title I schools continue to stagnate or decline, would you be willing to hold the budget at the absolute legal minimum, effectively a no-growth budget, until the Board of Education agrees to a third-party forensic audit of their central office management? If so, how will you defend that decision to the teachers union, MCEA, when they label it an attack on educators during your next budget cycle? If not, what strategy will you employ to ensure the return on the taxpayers' investment to MCPS, keeping in mind that the MCPS budget is half of the county's budget?
Thank you for repeating the question.
Of course.
So my plan is to create a MOCO Doge, for the county to complete a full audit of all county expenses for the last 5 years. That will include MCPS. So the answer is not throwing money at the problem. Everybody knows that we have issues with math scores, reading scores, and our students aren't able to be competitive to get into college, and never mind getting a decent job after high school, not even in Montgomery County, because jobs are lacking. So I would definitely get the audit going and see the results and shift money from the MCPS budget into something that goes under the standard minimum budget requirement. And I would definitely have a chat with the Board of Education and also with the teachers union for them to look at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Ms. Lukey.
Thank you. One, our Inspector General has been incredibly critical to the work that we've been doing, trying to get at the heart of what is going on inside MCPS. I do want to give credit where credit is due. Since Dr. Taylor has taken over, we've had much better pipelines of communication with the school system. And I do believe, with respect to the state MOE law, or maintenance of effort law, as well as how the funding formulas work and the budget categories that are allowable under state law, that there needs to be changes made to that in order to appropriately increase the transparency that we can see where the money is going, rather than the big, I think it's like 12 or 14 broad bucket categories that we have now, which, when you're talking about a budget of that size, is wholly insufficient in order to do the type of deep dive analysis that you need to as the fiscal authority. And so those are the things that I look at. I also want to uplift the efforts on our truancy prevention.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. As County Council, it is within our purview to make sure that we are looking where the money is going. There has been historically a lack of transparency, and I think that is the root of the problem. So we want to make sure that we're continuing to build our partnerships with MCPS to make sure we are regularly meeting. I mean, every year there is a fight to make sure that there is a budget, and we can do that in advance. We can meet regularly, we can build our partnerships, we can have conversations, community conversations. But our kids, we want to make sure that our kids get everything they need, especially now.
Thank you, Mr. Moy.
Thank you. Short answer is absolutely, we would hold until the forensic evidence is in front of us. I did not know about this maintenance of effort. I knew there was a maintenance of effort, but I didn't know that every step required us to stay at that level for the following year. I apologize for that. That makes sense now, because in 2019, it cost $11,000 to educate a child in Montgomery County. Now it takes about 21, 22, 23, 24,000. Keeps going up. I took a look at the budget. I have it in front of me here. In 26 to 27, the budget grew another 200 million. But where did it grow? Why is MCEA angry? Is it affecting the teachers, the salaries? Not a bit. Didn't change. What did change is the mid-level administration, principals, the directors, their salaries went up. So that's what we're fighting for. I'm not beholden to MCEA. I'm beholden to the parents and the students. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Erickson?
Thank you. I agree that I think one of the huge issues with the MCPS budget is the lack of transparency. I myself have tried to look through the budget and tried to find line items, and the buckets are just too big. You can't as a citizen, go through that and figure out kind of what the funding is going to on an individual basis. And then, there are larger issues like the purchase of the electric buses that are still not being used, and that's something that absolutely should not have happened. And I think that's, those are the kinds of things that we can look at as to where cuts can be made, where we can save money, and make sure that funds are not being spent inappropriately in a way that doesn't improve education. That said, I would not freeze funding for schools because Title I schools, have stagnated in performance. I have never known a school to improve when their funding is reduced or frozen. And I would say, as far as getting taxpayer investment returned, it's returned every day at 2 to 2:30 p.m. The taxpayer investment MCPS is your children.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson. Mr. Ashman.
You are correct. The maintenance of effort law complicates school funding. And I'm running for County Council District 3, but if I was running for King of Maryland for a day, I would change the way the system works. There's a structural disconnect because the County Council allocates the money, but they really don't have direct control over how it's spent. That takes the accountability away, and it's problematic. And this question that's the premise of this question, really. In terms, I think MOE I think over the next few years, declining enrollment at MCPS is going to cause a lot of issues, and it may actually lead to some sort of relaxation at the state level of the MOE law. But to your specific question about what would you do to improve outcomes, I've certainly spoken to county council members over the years who've had heart-to-hearts with superintendents, and I have some optimism about Superintendent Taylor, about holding them accountable to certain outcomes, like third grade reading scores, for example.
Thank you, Mr. Ashman. Okay, next question. Back to transportation. Transportation is critical to our economic growth. And here in the Up County, we need different types of infrastructure than in other parts of the county. Our Chamber's legislative agenda specifically calls for an address to the congestion on the upper I-270 corridor. How are you going to work with the county executive and the governor to address the congestion on the upper I-270 corridor? We'll start with you, Mr. Ashman, and work our way back down.
Thank you. As I was saying, sort of stammering through that first answer about to that huge question, I do think we need relief on I-270. I was almost late coming here because of the traffic coming up 270. I think the council's decision to remove M83 from the master plan was a missed opportunity. I think there could have been, and I supported Councilmember Balcom in her advocacy there, and at least we're going to have an up-county study. I have delivered transportation projects in the city of Gaithersburg, working with the county and working with the governor, Watkins Mill Interchange being the biggest example of it. But we have built our shared use path around NIST. We negotiated $11.6 million from the county to help with bike and pedestrian projects that we're working on now. We invested in studying how the BRT, how transit would work through the city of Gaithersburg. So I'm an all modes guy, and I have the partnerships to get things done.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson.
Thank you. As far as transportation issues in the Up County goes, as I don't remember who said earlier in the transportation question, there is not equitable access to public transportation in the Up County. That's, you can see that. And as someone who uses that on a very regular basis, it does make things a lot more difficult. I think we could reduce congestion if we improved our public transit, made it faster, made it easier for people to use. Every person who takes public transit is one less person creating traffic for you. And I think that is something really important to consider when if you're worried about congestion, please invest in your public transit. That's what I would do on the council, because that is the fastest way to reduce congestion. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Moy.
Thanks. I like to look at the root cause of issues and not just symptoms. If you take a look at the traffic, I was almost late as well. Where is this traffic going? Where does it originate from? It came from DC or Northern Virginia, where the jobs are, and it's going back to Frederick, where the homes are. So who's coming here? How about Poolesville? Poolesville's in the middle of nowhere. How do they get over here? They have to take a bus. It's all car reliant in this area. So to propose I don't know, some other transportation mode in the short term doesn't exist. We gotta work toward that. There needs to be strategic strategic planning. There's a MARC train that runs past here. Is there a station that I can jump on, maybe hop on that for a little bit? Nope. These are things that we would like to take a peek at. Maybe improve maybe less car life. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. We definitely need to increase our investment in public transit, including expanding the BRT, bus rapid transit, to more up-county locations. We also, in Rockville, recently received the transit-oriented designation, which will help to relieve traffic going up-county. And it's a great designation to receive. This also increases housing and commercial activity around transit. We also need to build more housing, more affordable housing near transit to make sure that throughout the county, whether you're near a metro station or bus stop, we definitely need to increase our affordable housing near transit so more people can take public transit and stay off of the roads. And we also need to make sure that we have more jobs up county that are more convenient as well.
Thank you. I support our up-county study that we're waiting on the results for because it is desperately needed to figure out what to do now, because the fact that M83 had been in the master plan but never built was something that was relied upon heavily in the development that did occur up county, and we're seeing the results of that now with not having the appropriate transit infrastructure to deal with that. I too am disappointed that the state has not come up with another alternative for dealing with 270. We've all been waiting and it has not happened, and the clock has been ticking and it's so far overdue. I also want to make sure that I'm clear. I do expect additional up-county expanded public transit, especially for our kids, especially for those who are entering the job market or need to go to apprenticeships, etc. But I also support our roads, because no matter how many EV vehicles we have, they still need to drive on roads.
Thank you, Ms. Lupke. Mr. Maldonado.
Thank you. I'd like to ask my colleague on my right, the incumbent, you've had 4 years to look at transportation. What have you done?
Who's her name?
Mrs. Luke? Yeah. Okay, so regarding the question, I would definitely support expanding the north part of 270. I myself was a commuter from Gaithersburg all the way to McLean, Virginia for 10 years, and I know exactly how the commute is, and we need relief from that. And of course, that requires work with the Maryland legislature, et cetera, and with the state leadership. In terms of the up-county, I definitely support creating an up-county transportation authority, and that will come after we do the audit and through the savings where we're going to address fraud, waste, and abuse. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Ms. Lutke, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
Thank you. So there's been a lot said here tonight. It keeps happening over and over, whether it's directed at me or otherwise, and I just want to be clear. It's really important to know whether you're talking about a state issue, a federal issue, or a local issue when you are responding to a question. The issue with respect to the widening of 270 is in fact a state issue. There is absolutely nothing that I or any other council member could do to make that project happen. But I will tell you this, I absolutely never got in the way of it, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the state's proposal is moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Lutke. Candidates, thank you. That concludes our first round of questions. Audience, you may reward them with a round of applause. Audience, you were offered an index card when you arrived today to share questions for the candidates. If you have a completed index card, please raise it in the air, and one of our board members will collect it now. You must include your name and your residence on your card to properly attribute the question. Anonymous questions will not be read. I'd like to invite Sharon Anthony, our Vice Chair for Economic Development and Legislative Affairs from Montgomery College, to facilitate our next round of questions, while our board and I categorize these questions for the final round. Thank you.
move now on to our second round of questions. This round is going to include a number of yes/no questions. So candidates, you have a paddle in front of you to respond to each of these questions. Please raise your answer to the audience after each question. The questions were also prepared by our Economic Development and Legislative Affairs Committee. So you just say yes or no. Their panels will show you. Okay, so let's get started. Do you support the reinstatement of uniformed school resource officers to local high schools? Do you support funding MCPS above the maintenance of effort?
There's not an it depends.
There's not an in between. Okay. Do you support holding MCPS to higher account for their portion of our county budget, particularly those funds above maintenance of effort? All right, that was a better question, more specific. Okay, would you support opening a conversation with the State Board of Education about oversight of the MCPS budget and accountability? Alrighty. Under Maryland's maintenance of effort law, the county is legally prohibited from ever spending less per student than it did the previous year. This creates a ratchet effect, which we mentioned before, where every emergency increase or one-time bonus becomes the permanent mandatory floor for the future, even if performance metrics drop. Specifically, if MCPS proficiency rates in Title I schools continue to stagnate or decline, would you be willing to hold the budget at the absolute legal minimum, effectively a no-growth budget, until the Board of Education agrees to a third-party forensic audit of their central office management and spending? That's kind of a duplicated question, but still, had to take a side. Well, I see some people are waffling. Do you support the proposed 2026-2027 countywide elementary boundary study that may lead to the permanent consolidation or closing of under-enrolled schools? Sure, yes. Do you support the proposed 2026-2027 countywide elementary boundary study that may lead to the permanent consolidation or closing of under-enrolled schools? Okay. The executive's current capital improvement plan recommendation is roughly $652 million lower than the Board of Education's request. If elected, will you fully fund the Board of Education's construction request, even if it requires a property tax increase? It depends.
Yeah, it really does.
What is it for?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see no clear yes or no's for some people. Okay, let's go on to the next one. These are public safety questions. Do you support the expansion of the drone as a first responder program further into the up-county? All right, let's try another one. Will you support the Montgomery County Police Department's use of facial recognition technology for investigating violent crimes?
That's precluded by state law.
Okay.
Sorry, but it is.
Good to know. All right, will you commit to a one-time retention bonus for all sworn officers with 5 or more years of experience to address the current staffing vacancy crisis? Thank you. So we're going to move on to some housing questions. There were approximately 2,000 housing permits filed in the county for new projects in 2024 and fewer than 50 in 2025. Do you support repeal of the rent stabilization legislation, which has resulted in a nearly 100% drop in permits filed for rental housing construction?
It hasn't.
Do you support the Attainable Housing Strategies Plan to allow duplexes and triplexes to be built in neighborhoods currently zoned strictly for single-family homes? Okay. Do you support the transit-oriented development bill that grants automatic enterprise zone status to developers building near Metro or Purple Line stations? Sure. Do you support the transit-oriented development bill that grants automatic enterprise zone status to developers building near Metro or Purple Line stations? That's a tough one. Okay. Do you support the 2026 requirement that landlords must provide a minimum of 2 weeks' notice before an eviction can proceed, even in cases of non-payment? All right, we're going to move on to some economic development and taxation questions. Will you pledge to vote no on any property tax increase that utilizes the school funding loophole to bypass the county charter's requirement for a unanimous council vote? You want me to repeat that one? Will you pledge to vote no on any property tax increase that utilizes the school funding loophole to bypass the county charter's requirement for a unanimous council vote? Okay. Do you support the creation of new special taxing districts for residents and businesses to fund infrastructure projects? All right. Will you advocate for more road infrastructure in the up-county? All right, we're going to move on to quality of life questions. Do you support the use of noise code inspectors to issue the maximum $500 fine to homeowners and landscapers still using gas-powered leaf blowers? Okay, the gas-powered leaf blower ban last year has cost our small landscaping businesses thousands of dollars each in equipment and lost time. Some of our larger landscapers have had to reinvest tens of thousands of dollars in equipment and infrastructure. Did you vote for, or for those of you not on the council, would you have voted for the onerous legislation that banned the use of gas-powered leaf blowers for our landscaping community? Will you vote yes or no on any capital project that adds new lanes of travel for gas-powered vehicles, excluding dedicated bus lanes? Yes. Will you vote yes or no? Well, I guess that's not really a yes or no question. Okay, how about this? Will you vote yes for any capital project that adds new lanes of travel for gas-powered vehicles, excluding dedicated bus lanes? Excluding dedicated bus lanes. So that adds new lanes of travel for gas-powered vehicles. Yeah, we're not talking about bus lanes, we're talking about regular.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Battery vehicles?
I think it's gas-powered. So we're gonna
But, so it would exclude EVs?
No, wouldn't well, all right, we're gonna move on. Okay, let's try another one. This deals with M83. The decision to remove M83, the long-planned and never funded Eastern Arterial to I-270 and Great Seneca Highway's eastern counterpart from the Transportation Master Plan was detrimental to the growth and needs of our Clarksburg community. Did you vote for, or for those of you not on the council, would you have voted for the removal of M83 from the Transportation Master Plan?
Would I have voted for it to remove it?
Yes. Yes. Okay. All right, some people are not giving an answer. Okay, do you support the recent charter amendment that reduced the county executive's term limit from 3 terms down to 2?
Did you support it?
Do you support it? So we're cutting it down from 3 terms to 2. Okay. Will you commit to being an engaged citizen and elected leader in our Germantown Town Center initiative? Okay, winding down. Would you agree that Marvel Comics is superior to DC Comics? That's a controversial. All right, thank you, candidates. This concludes the yes or no section of questions. We'll now take questions from the audience, and our board volunteers have collected questions from the audience and categorized them in the hopes that we address as many topics as possible during this round of questions.
Sorry, can we get a copy of that later so I can make sure I understood the question?
I can issue a copy of the questionnaire.
I might not have understood all of the questions.
This video will also be available on the Chamber's YouTube page. Thank you, Sharon, for facilitating that round of questions. I have one more yes or no question from the audience. This fit in well with the second round of yes or no's. Given the recent controversy, this is Caitlin from Rockville. Given the recent controversy around the proposed data center in Dickerson, would you vote, and you can use your paddle yes or no for your vote, on a moratorium for the construction of data centers in Montgomery County? Okay, thank you. All right, next I'd like to invite Dave Buonora from the Universities at Shady Grove and a Vice Chair of our Economic Development Committee. We have categorized the questions from the audience, and he will read those, and we will facilitate responses to those.
Thank you, Paul. All right, so we have about 6 questions here, and we'll do it the same way we did the last one. We'll go up and down the line. You get 60 seconds. The first
Actually,
question...
Dave, I'm going to call on them randomly because Mr. Maldonado and Mr. Ashman have had an advantage.
Okay.
So we're going to call on them randomly.
Okay, are you going to do
Yes, I will.
Okay, very good.
Calling on.
Thank you. That's a very fair thing to do. Very good. Our first question is from Robin Ficker from Boyd's, and this is about taxes. Can you talk to us about your position on proposed property tax increases and potential proposed income tax increases?
You will have 60 seconds to respond. Again, if you are named in one of your fellow candidates' responses, you will have a 30-second rebuttal. We will start with Mr. Moy.
Me? I'm Rick Moy. If you take a look at the comparable states, Florida, Georgia, they don't have, well, Florida doesn't have income tax, right? People are loving that. We're kicking people when they're already down, when we increase property tax and income tax, right? So I would like to be more responsible where we spend, so we wouldn't have to drive up income tax. If you look at Miami-Dade, that's a large area. Jacksonville, Duval County, I lived there before. Gwinnett County, I lived there before. That's near Atlanta, if you didn't know. Similar size locations. Their operating budgets are $2 billion. We're about 8. Are we that much better off? That's my thought.
We don't want to be like Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Moy. Ms. Shaw.
A lot of our working families are struggling right now, and so increased taxes means housing instability. It means it's harder to get groceries and basic essentials. And so I do not agree with taxing our working families. Where I do agree, there are a number of folks in our county that benefited from the big, beautiful bill that have more to invest in our county. And I also agree with expanding our tax base just in general so that we have enough money to fully invest in our services.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Ms. Lukey.
I do not support the county executive's proposed property tax increase or income tax increase, and I think the reel that the Baltimore Banner put up yesterday, where my words were, "This is insane," was exactly on point for my thoughts about this. Because, and to be clear, our tax laws are state laws, so any changes in the systems or who can tax what or what level, that are the percentages we can deal with locally, but we can't change the overall taxing structure locally. That has to be done at the state level. So comparing us to other states isn't particularly helpful in terms of how our tax policy works, but I do not support the increases.
Thank you, Ms. Lukey. Ms. Erickson.
Thank you. I do not support the proposed tax increase from the county executive. I think I agree with some of my colleagues here that our middle class and working families are already very burdened right now by the higher cost of living and the high cost of housing in this region. And I think that burdening them on top of that is going to negatively impact our economy. They're not going to have money to spend here, and people will likely either cut down their spending or consider leaving. And I think that what we should be looking at is, again, the number of individuals who are benefiting greatly from being in this county and are not paying their fair share and are not supporting those in the community. So I do not support that. I would support a more targeted tax increase.
Thank you, Mr. Ashman.
I also don't support the proposed tax increases and fee increases. you don't make this place more affordable by making it less affordable, more expensive. I believe that you have to ask the government to do better before you ask the residents to pay more. And it's a thing. It's a refrain I'm hearing at the doors particularly from seniors on fixed incomes who are particularly susceptible to the movement of our property taxes. We have been able in Gaithersburg to maintain the lowest property tax rate of any large municipality in Maryland, and remain debt-free and deliver excellent services at the same time. And the reason we've been able to do that is because we've grown our tax base. We've been friendly to new growth, new development, new housing, and that's what I would want to bring to the county.
Thank you, Mr. Ashman. Mr. Maldonado.
Thank you. I'm totally against the property tax increases by Eldridge and the council. I believe the budget has been growing every year by above 7%, and that's beyond the inflation rate. And I don't think this is fair for working families, for the middle class. The middle class is being priced out and they're moving out, and the working class is being squeezed to the limits that a lot of people are having a hard time in making ends meet every month. So what I propose is freezing property taxes and all tax increases for 2 years until we can have a full audit of all county financial information in order for us to determine whether we can continue or decrease taxes going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. On to our next question.
Okay, the next question is related to housing and renters in particular. This is from Samantha in Gaithersburg. What are some specific ways that you have helped protect renters from predatory landlords and leasing contracts?
Again, we will call on our candidates in random order. We'll start with Ms. Shaw.
Thank you. So I myself am a renter in District 3, and I just want to be clear that District 3 does not have the same type of tenant protections as the rest of Montgomery County. And so to support renters, I have led a movement of tenants across District 3 to ensure that we would get the same type of protections as they do in the county. Overall, to protect renters, renters need to be organized in tenant associations to make sure that they are engaged and can always lift up their voices. We need rent stabilization in Rockville and Gaithersburg to help to make sure that we're not being gouged. Also, we need to increase the amount of housing that we have in general. However, that housing can take 2 to 4 years to be built. So in between time, we want to make sure that we are not being priced out, and we also need to preserve our older housing.
Mr. Maldonado.
The county has created a lot of programs, their rent stabilization program that has had mixed results. In terms of rent control, I would work directly with the parties involved in order to reach agreeable, manageable solution, because most of the solutions right now are not working, and people are young people especially, and young families are not able to afford their rent. So it would be my plan to work with realtors and the stakeholders in order for us to find a common ground in how to attack this from a reasonable, objective, logical manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ludke.
When this topic came before council, I did not support the end result rent control bill. I had proposed a price gouging bill because that was the tactic or the thing that we were trying to prevent from happening. And the ultimate rent control bill contains other provisions that actively harm the housing production. And we cannot cure a supply and demand problem without more supply. But I have co-sponsored a consumer protection bill authorizing our Office of Consumer Protection to assist our tenants with particular issues where landlords were not taking care of things. A rental contract is just that, a contract, but they are inherently unequal bargaining power. So my approach was to focus on things that help level out that bargaining power and make sure that we are pursuing those in a more effective and efficient manner. And also, I co-sponsored the eviction notice bill that gives more notice. So again, we are trying to do what we can to minimize destabilization.
Thank you, Ms. Lutke. Mr. Moy.
Well, thank you to Neil. He pointed out it's all connected, right? You can't have one without the other. You can't have housing without the landlords and the owners. And then my thought is this: we all need somewhere to live. We all call Montgomery County home. So we need somewhere to park our butt, sleep, and be able to work, right? It's a basic need. This has to be a collaborative effort. If the landlords can't make enough, if the property taxes are too high, they're not gonna rent out. Then you're gonna have another supply issue. Demand's gonna be there. If we increase density, sure, it might temporarily improve something, but you gotta look at the root cause. 10 seconds here. Jobs. If we have the jobs, we can afford to pay the rent.
Thank you, Mr. Moy. Mr. Ashman.
So I have been mayor of Gaithersburg for close to 12 years now, and half of our residents are renters. Under my leadership, Gaithersburg has assembled the strongest constructive set of tenant protections of any jurisdiction. The question wasn't about rent control, and I'm assuming we're going to get into that at some point. So I'm just going to talk about tenant protections, and I'm going to note that we're the first jurisdiction anywhere, at least locally, to require fee transparency. So when you before you ever have to sign a lease or run a credit check, the landlord has to disclose all the potential fees that could be in play, and it helps consumers make better choices. We implemented strict control on radon testing, on rules of entry and inspection. We have top-notch code enforcement, and our neighborhood services division, if somebody does feel like they're being gouged potentially, they can make a complaint to our neighborhood services division and we'll informally mediate. We're doing a lot of things on this topic, and
Thank you, Mr. Ashman. Ms. Erickson.
Thank you. I am currently just a private citizen. I'm not a public official to be really impacting this issue. That said, I have been meeting with local tenant associations to better understand their concerns and have connections to be able to work with them. But it's not as great. It's not a perfect system in Gaithersburg. I'll be very honest. My neighborhood right now is experiencing a massive rat infestation from an apartment building that was not appropriately managing their waste. And the residents had been complaining to their landlords for some time, and now they're getting movement on it because it's starting to impact the homeowners that live nearby. And I think that's not an acceptable situation. Just because you are renting, you shouldn't have to put up with unlivable conditions like that until it affects a homeowner. And we need to do better. Sorry.
Thank you. Did I reach all of you? Just checking. Our next question, please.
Our next question is from Matthew in Rockville. His question is, how do you plan to promote union organizing, especially for government employees?
Again, we will mix it up a little. And Ms. Lutke, would you please start?
Thank you. I think this most recently came up in the conference center debate and in Montgomery County, and we all supported resolution to require labor peace agreements for that. And so I have proudly worked with our union partners for particularly in fire and rescue and police and McGeo, which covers the sheriff's office, and also our mobile crisis employees with respect to workplace injury issues, Office of our OMS, Office of Medical Services for employees who are injured on the job and are trying to come back to work and where there are hiccups there. And I fully support our union partners and their efforts to organize and support our workforce.
Thank you, Ms. Lukey. Ms. Erickson.
Sorry, I forgot the question for a second. Union organizing. Yes, I do support union organizing for government workers. I myself recently worked for the federal government, and I fully believe that the reason I was dismissed so quickly and so easily was because due to the way I was hired, I was not permitted to join or form a union. There are other people who worked alongside me who were able to keep their jobs much longer because they had union representation who was able to make the case for them and support them. So I am a strong union supporter. My family are union members, and I know that's how they can afford the quality of life that they're able to have. So I support unions all the way.
Thank you, Mr. Ashman.
As a county council member, I would support our unions. I would support negotiated contracts. I support the right to organize and to collectively bargain. At the same time, it's not my job as an elected official to do the organizing. So it's more reactive, but I support our unions, and that's I would give a lot of respect and deference to the negotiations that happen between the county executive and our unions.
Thank you. Mr. Maldonado. Pass the mic all the way down.
So the way I see it is union organizations are a two-edged sword. In one hand, you have employee advocacy, protection of employees, of labor. And on the other hand, we have an example of the teachers union that have a lot of power, and they force their will into the Board of Education in terms of getting their annual salary increases. In a recent meeting that we had with MCPS, we found out that between the wage increases, salary increases for MCPS were between 6 and 9%. How does that resonate in an environment where inflation is under 4% and we have a lot of financial issues? So I support union organizing, but again, I would definitely be careful with talking to them and making sure that they don't.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Ms. Shaw.
I strongly support unions, and in fact, I have been backed by almost every single union in Montgomery County, from teachers to construction workers to doormen to nurses to transit workers. I have a strong coalition of unions, and the reason why they're backing me is because I will fight for working people and for unions. As a former federal employee, when Trump was elected, I started organizing my workplace to unionize. We fought as long as we could. Unfortunately, we were riffed with thousands of other residents throughout Montgomery County. I have the unions back. In Rockville, we have a union. In Gaithersburg, they do not. And I've heard from Gaithersburg employees and former employees how much they wanted a union and how much they wanted to be protected in their city.
Thank you, Mr. Moy.
I am Rick Moy. In my working experience, I've never had a chance to join a union. I've worked for Frito-Lay for 3 years. We did not have a union at our plant. How did we go about that? Well, we took care of our people. It was our goal as managers and floor supervisors to make sure that our people were taken care of. Do I support the unions? I recently answered this question on a survey. If there's a labor contract that's agreed upon, I'm gonna hold that 100%. There's no chance of backing out. A contract's a contract. As long as the union properly has due diligence to represent its people, it's good. I was a veteran. Didn't have a chance to be in a union in the military. How do we survive? We took care of our people. We looked after their needs, made sure they were fed, made sure they were paid. If you don't have that, sure, join the union. Make sure that someone's enforcing those. Thanks.
Thank you. Did I reach all 6 of you? Okay. Our next question, please.
Our next question is from Eric in Gaithersburg. We have seen diminished support for the LGBT community in certain municipalities. What actions, policies, and/or funding will you support implementing to expand LGBT safety and visibility in Montgomery County?
Again, random. We'll start with Ms. Erickson. You have the mic.
Doesn't feel random. I was already holding it. Was this Eric? That's a really great question, and it's not one I've heard at one of these forums yet, so I really appreciate it. In fact, was that last week, was at the county council meeting to show support for fully funding the MoCo Pride Center, which is a fantastic organization that is really trying to support this community through what I think are particularly hard times for a lot of them. I am an ally to the LGBTQ community. I'm actually a member of a LGBTQ musical organization. I do pride parades up and down the coast all summer long. So I have a lot of really good friends in that community, and I am absolutely here to fight for them and to make sure that the programs that they rely on are funded and that they are protected members of my community.
Thank you. Mr. Moy.
Thanks. All right. So everyone says that they have friends who are of the LGBTQ community. Sure, of course. Lots of my friends, when I was in the military, they did not let other people know. And then afterwards, after the regulation changed, don't tell, they came out. Did it affect our relationship? Not at all. Didn't care. Doesn't matter. This is not my business who you decide to hang out with after hours. It's not our responsibility. What is our responsibility is your safety. Community safety is no joke. No one is going to be targeted regardless of your beliefs or whatnot. So if that's the issue at hand, I'm going to protect you regardless of your faith, your decision, okay? Life decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lukey.
Thank you. So one of the things we've done and I have supported on council is the funding for the MoCo Pride Center and for the work that they do. And I was just there 2 weeks ago watching it in action and seeing the space and community that they have created. And this is critically important because no matter how much we do within our HHS space or other parts of county government with the different services we provide, it's how the person accesses the services or where they come to that they feel comfortable relying on the information, getting the information, and getting connected to different things that they need and feeling that their needs are met that matters. And so I will continue supporting MoCo Pride Center, and I will continue supporting our HHS efforts as well as our nonprofit providers who work in this space.
Thank you, Ms. Lukey. Mr. Ashman.
I am proud to say that City of Gaithersburg for the last 4 years has gotten 100% perfect score on the Municipal Equality Index, which is a measurement from the Human Rights Campaign. And it takes into consideration non-discrimination laws, municipal programs, inclusive healthcare. We've had transgender healthcare in Gaithersburg for more than 10 years. I would continue my support of the LGBTQ community as a member of the county council. I'm proud of it.
What happened to Gaithersburg Pride that you canceled? Sorry for interrupting, but you're still within your minute.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, sure.
Thank you, Mr. Ashman. Mr. Maldonado. Can we pass the mic down? Thank you.
Don't do that. Just let them answer.
In terms of the LGBTQ plus community, I have campaign my campaign team members are part of that community, and also I have family and friends who are part of that community. And as a county council member, I will advocate for all communities to have the respect and the rights to assemble, to organize, and to have their activities without any prejudice, without any discrimination. So that would be my plan once elected, is to continue supporting that community without any reservations, without any prohibitions, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Ms. Shaw. I want to make sure everyone feels safe, everyone feels encouraged to be their authentic self, and everyone needs to be seen and loved and cared for within our community. And with that, I would continue investing in the MoCo Pride Center. Also, I serve on the Rockville Human Rights, I'm the council liaison to the Rockville Human Rights Commission that puts on the Pride Festival every single year. Everyone here is invited, it's in June. Additionally, we want to make sure that we are working with our partners across the board throughout all spaces, throughout government, throughout our nonprofits, throughout our houses of worship, to make sure that we have safe places, we have community conversations, and people are being able to connect with their community and share their stories and share their ability to be able to live in Montgomery free of discrimination. Additionally,
Thank you, Ms. Shaw.
Thank you.
Our next question, please. Oh, did I hit all 6 of you? We all? Okay, thank you.
Okay, our next question is from Vasily in Gaithersburg. The question is, no man or woman is an island. You are each running for one seat, but you'll need to convince a majority of the council to get things done. What is your record on partnerships and collegiality?
Thank you, Ms. Shaw.
So it is important to work across the aisle with all different folks that have various different perspectives and to build coalitions, even when it's very tough decisions. And I would say that I do work with all of my colleagues in a great way, and we all, we don't always agree on everything, but at the end of the day, it's important to make sure everyone is safe, everyone has what they need. We all want to get to the same goal, and that is what will drive my work to build coalitions. I will also say too, working with government partners as well, our nonprofits, our chambers as well, to make sure that we are able to build economic development, build housing, and make sure that everyone has what they need.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Mr. Maldonado.
As the first Republican to be in office after the last one we had in 2006, it's going to be hard for me to work with all Democrat council. But my track record with working with the federal government, mainly working at the CIA, has made me very aware of the challenges and issues working with people who have different thoughts, different opinions. And so that 10-year experience has actually been good in terms of getting me ready to delve into working with other folks that have different opinions or different political stance. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lukey.
For the time before I was on council, I was in private litigation practice for a number of years, and then at the state for 9 years. And whether it was in private practice or at the state, you often had to work through difficult issues, and the same people would have to come back to the table time and time again. And that's really important because you can both zealously advocate on behalf of your client and also still be a good person. And that is how I have approached my first term in office, and I think it's critically important. We may not all have bills that everyone signs on to right away, and that's okay. And then people may all vote unanimously for the bill after deep thought, reflection, conversations, understanding, working through tough issues. That's what the job requires. And it's important to remember, at the end of the day, the sun will rise again. We got to get back to it.
Thank you, Ms. Lukey. Mr. Ashman.
Two mics, okay. So I have been lucky enough to be in elected office for 18 years and have developed deep ties and cultivated relationships at all levels of government. It's helped us get a lot of great things done. We've gotten a lot of federal money. I worked with governors to get projects done through SHA. But I want to take a look closer at home, and I feel like I have, in my leadership, fostered a culture of collegiality and trust within the Gaithersburg City Council. And I'm proud to see that reflected in the support of all 5 of my council members in this election. I'm proud, and with our neighbors, I'm proud to have the support of Mayor Monique Ashton from Rockville and 3 of the council members there, as well as the mayor of Tacoma Park, and Senator Angela Alsobrooks, and the current holder of this seat, Sydney A. Katz.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson.
I'll use the secondary mic. Okay, so experience working with coalitions and groups of people. I have spent most of my career so far at the U.S. Agency for International Development, managing humanitarian programs overseas. And for most people, that's just a bunch of gibberish. But what that means is I worked out of DC. We would have a problem identified somewhere. I had to work with my team in that country, come up with a plan, and then convince my leadership that it's a good plan, convince the national government, the local government, the impacted community, the local organizations, and probably the World Food Program that this is also a good plan that's going to have a positive impact on people's lives and keep them all coordinated and make sure that we're moving together. So I have quite a lot of experience working with a lot of stakeholders, taking their input into account. And I think one thing that may stand out is, okay, I'll leave that one then.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson. Mr. Moy.
Thank you. When you love what you do, it's not hard, it's not a job, it's not difficult. If you have your priorities straight, county before self, if you're willing to listen, use your 2 ears, and understand where people are coming from, sometimes you can get over that argument without having to go to conflict. I love differing opinions. I love it when there's 2 sides and you have to come to a compromise. I learned that in negotiations class. In my 25 plus years of work experience, military, Frito-Lay, I'm the chair for Human Services Advisory Commission in Rockville. I'm in the Rotary Club, American Legion. I've been exposed to millions of different personalities. Not everyone's gonna agree, but when you're willing to listen and think and then come to an agreement consistently, people learn to trust you. You learn to trust others. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Moy. And Michelle? Oh, we got everybody, right? Very sorry. Thank you. All right, I think we have one more question, right, Dave?
We have one more question from the audience, and this question is about campaign promises. We're all skeptical of campaign promises, or very, very many people are skeptical of campaign promises. How do you intend to deliver real results beyond just campaign promises and campaign slogans?
With that, we'll start with Ms. Lukey.
I think I just want to keep doing what I'm already doing, right? That is the way to go, which is to say, you build your coalitions, you find out who's trusting you, you find out where the problems are, you sit, you research, you work through it, you talk to other stakeholders, and then you do the things. You don't go out and make grandiose propositions over sweeping policy changes, especially, I hear, again, so many of them that relate to things that a county council member just can't even do, that aren't within their authority. And so that's what I plan to keep doing and continue doing, and I already have things in the pipeline moving forward. So I will just keep on keeping on with my work.
Thank you, Ms. Lukey. Mr. Maldonado.
I'm not a politician. I'm a technocrat. I'm an economist with 25 years of experience in both public and private sectors. I'm not here to sell you a dream. I'm not here to sell you promises. I'm here to deliver results. How do I deliver results? By creating targets, by creating short-term targets. For instance, when creating our MOCO Doge, we're going to have a 6-month period where we're going to have our first initial results for the audit. And that will drive future policies in terms of freezing property taxes, freezing income taxes, freezing energy utility bills in order to give relief to the public. I'm a realist, and that's how I plan to govern once elected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. Mr. Moy.
Rick Moy. Well, if you know me, and people that do know me, will say this: dependable. If I tell you I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. I made a promise to to the former president of Rockville Rotary today. I said, hey, I'm gonna come pick up the books. We're delivering dictionaries this week. Guess what? Before I showed up here, I went to her house and picked up the dictionaries. 17 boxes. So if you make a promise, you deliver. So what else have I delivered on? As a federal consultant for the last 7 years in this area, we do iterations. I'm an agile guy. So you take baby steps. You tell them what you're gonna do and you knock it out. PTA, if I say I'm gonna do something, I'm knocking it out. Veteran, I'm an American Legion member. If I say I'm gonna take on a project, like I'm gonna take on Boy State, I deliver it. You don't make promises you can't deliver. Rick Moy.
Thank you, Mr. Moy. Mr. Ashman.
So to the specific question, as one of 11 members of the council, none of us would have full control over how everything goes. I think the more important thing about campaigns is about presenting to the voters your experience, your track record, your priorities, and your values. In fact, we honestly don't know all the issues that will come before us, but if you get a sense of how we think through issues and where our priorities are, where our heart is, then you'll have a sense of how we're gonna perform the job of council. I want the voters to know that I'm pragmatic, I'm a bridge builder, I've got a long track record of delivering for our community, which I would argue is one of the best run communities, not only in the state, but anywhere you'll find, and that's how I'm gonna approach it.
Thank you, Mr. Ashman. Ms. Shaw.
So as an elected official, what's important to me at the end of the day is serving our community. And my colleagues, future colleagues, may not always agree how to get there, but at the end of the day, it's about serving our community. And so I make a commitment to make sure that I am continuing to fight for our community. For example, I saw that a number of our community members, renters in the city of Rockville, had very little voice in government. And when I ran for office, I said, I'm a renter and I understand how you feel. I started knocking on doors 4 months after I was elected on tenants' doors and built a movement of tenants. And although we are not able to get every single thing that we need, we had historic investment in affordable housing that Rockville has never seen, and half of the multifamily buildings in Rockville now has a tenant association.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Ms. Erickson.
Thank you. So, I mean, campaign promises are one thing, but I think that what I will really focus on is being realistic, making sure that I understand what, as a council member, I can have influence on and what is, beyond the scope of the county council, and ensure that I'm not making promises outside of my own scope of practice, as it were. My priority is that I am here to fight for what's right. And if someone comes to me with a problem and we can agree that this is not right and it is something that the county can change, then I'm going to work with the council to try to make that change. I'm not here to, tell people that everything's gonna be perfect or that the county council can do anything it wants, but I really am here to make an impact for people and improve people's life here in Montgomery County.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson. This concludes our round of questions. Thank you to the candidates. Thank you, Mr. Buonora, for organizing our questions from the audience. Thank you, Sharon and Steve and Neil, for your help as well. Now, our candidates will have 60 seconds to provide a closing remark. During this time, you will also have a 30-second rebuttal if you are mentioned by name by one of your fellow candidates. We will start here with Mr. Ashman and work our way back down the table. Mr. Ashman, 60 seconds.
All right, thank you to Paula, thank you to the Chamber, and thanks to all my fellow candidates here for participating. It's debatable how much endorsements matter in races like this, but I think there are two very telling kinds of endorsements. They're the endorsements from the people who know the work and from the people who've worked most closely with you, had the opportunity to see how you work. I am proud to have the endorsement in this race of Sidney A. Katz, who holds the seat. He knows the work. I'm also proud to have the support of colleagues Marilyn Balcom and Dawn Lutke in this race. And in terms of the people who work closest with me, as I said before, I have the support of my entire 5-member city council, the Rockville mayor, 3 members of that city council, and those people have seen me in action. So the most important endorsement is yours. On June 23rd, I'm asking for your vote, and I thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Ms. Erickson.
I want to thank the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber of Commerce and BlackRock Arts for hosting, and Ms. Ross and Ms. Anthony for moderating, and the other candidates for the conversation today. My campaign is about ensuring that the people of District 3 have access to affordable housing, safe and reliable transportation, and know that there is someone in the community willing to take on the big fights. I've spent my career advocating and fighting for people, and I want to use those skills to continue that work in the place that I call home. The people of Montgomery County deserve a council member who's going to show up on day one prepared to fight for them, who's gone up against our government and understands what happens when they are not fighting and funding you. Fighting for you and funding you. That's why I'm running. You can get in touch with my campaign through my website, AllisonForMoco.com, and find more information about me, my vision, and how to support the campaign. I thank you for your time this evening and hope I've earned your vote on Tuesday, June 23rd.
Thank you, Ms. Erickson. Mr. Moy.
Thanks. I'm Rick Moy. I'm from District 3, Rockville. I hope I'm speaking for the citizens and, like I said, the residents who are frustrated. We just want to live in peace. We want to live in a county that makes sense, that's taking care of our basic needs. We feel, some of us feel, that the incumbents, the county executive, school board, MCPS, they might view us as their piggy bank. They're spending our money without much return. I'm hoping that we can do a little bit better. We deserve better for what we pay for. Be more efficient, be more intentional of how we spend our money, be more transparent, and be more accountable. We have a lot of potential in this area. Let's optimize that potential. We have the ag reserve, we have biotech, we have transportation. Let's make this county.
Thank you, Mr. Moy. Ms. Shaw.
Yes, Montgomery County has tremendous potential, and at the same time, we are struggling right now. A lot of people, tens of thousands, have lost their jobs and have lost opportunities. A former coworker of mine told me the other day that he had to tell his kid to drop out of college, who I worked with in the federal government. A lot of folks are struggling right now. And this is not a time to depend on leaders who have not really made change in their approach. This is a time to select leaders that you know is going to fight for them, and to make sure that you are represented. And on endorsements, I have received endorsements from majority of working people. And I will also say, I was also asked by Mr. Ashman in 2024 for an endorsement.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Ms. Lukey.
Thank you. It's incredibly important that we recognize what we can control locally right now and what we can't. And that's how I have been approaching my job and how I will continue approaching my job with respect to affordability, with respect to knowing what we can do locally to not make it harder to live in Montgomery County. I take a very problem-solving approach, as I noted, and when I say that, I don't just mean with respect to the legislation I pursue. I mean about actually diving in and working with our departments, like for example, on funding the Drone as First Responder program, which I know not everyone up here seems to be a fan of, but that was important to our officers themselves. They want that program. They want our real-time information center, and those things are force multipliers that are critically important to them. I've pursued state legislative action when I needed to, and I've done everything from revising our local laws on open government and health privacy to housing affordability and permitting. I have endorsements of our federal, state, and local officials. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lukey. Mr. Maldonado.
First off, I'd like to thank the Gaithersburg Germantown Chamber of Commerce and BlackRock for this event. Very good event, keep that up. So we know what the problems are. We know that the council is a reflection of the state of Maryland in terms of their policies. Taxes, 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 taxes. We are being squeezed out financially. Working families can make ends meet every month, and the middle class is being priced out. So my 3 points that I will focus on once in office: affordability, start the economy growing again beyond 3%. Security, we need police officers, we need crime down. If we have crime, if we can get a handle on crime, then we can get the businesses back into the county, which will create jobs. And finally, accountability. Our county council and our executive are not accountable to residents, and I will change that once in office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maldonado. This concludes tonight's forum. Let's hear it for our candidates. As a reminder, this forum may be posted, it has been recorded and may be posted on the Chamber's social feeds, our YouTube page, and social media feeds in full or in part until we reach the primary election on June 23rd. I would like to thank our candidates for joining us this evening. The Chamber encourages everyone in the Up-County to get out and vote during the primary election on June 23rd. Early voting begins June 11th. Our County Executive Candidate Forum will take place next Tuesday, right back here at the beautiful BlackRock Center for the Arts at 6 p.m. This week at the Chamber, however, we're not done. We have a small business resource panel tomorrow morning at the Innovation Center at 8:30. All are welcome to come to that. If you would like to join us, the information is on the Chamber's website. You do not need to be a Chamber member to attend that. And also, our Chamber is rebranding. So we will announce a refreshed name and a new logo at a brand reveal press conference and followed by a party right here at the beautiful BlackRock Center for the Arts at 7 p.m. this Friday. Again, all are welcome. Tickets are available online. And for members of the press who are here, if you would like to cover that event, please see me for press access to the conference. Thank you all for coming. I hope you will come back here next Tuesday when we have the same type of forum for our county executive candidates, and please get home safely. Thank you.
The Chamber deserves an A+ grade for putting on this forum tonight.
Why, thank you. I'll take it.
You did a great job.